He inherited his uncle's apartment in March of 2024, when he was 29 years old.
Welcome to Room 13, where every story hides a secret, a place where the unknown comes to life, and the eerie is all too real. Here, we uncover the chilling tales that lurk in the shadows.
Uncle Richard had died alone in the apartment from what was reported as a heart attack. The neighbors only noticed something was wrong 3 days later, when the smell began to seep into the hallway. He was the only living relative, so everything fell to him. A 3-bedroom apartment in an old Chicago building constructed in 1923. He lived in Boston and worked as an architect. He hadn't known his uncle well. They saw each other occasionally at Christmas, exchanged superficial conversations. Richard had always been quiet and reserved, never married. After the funeral arrangements were handled, he decided to travel to Chicago to evaluate the apartment and determine whether it was worth keeping or selling. He arrived on a Thursday afternoon. The building looked exactly as he'd expected. Red bricks darkened by time, 6 floors, and an old elevator with a barred inner door. The apartment was 4B on the 4th floor. The building manager, Mrs. Ross, a woman in her 70s, handed him the keys. When he mentioned that he planned to live there temporarily, her expression shifted. "Are you going to stay in room B?" she asked. "Yes, for a few weeks. I need to get things organized." She paused before replying. "Your uncle was a very private man." The comment struck him as odd, but he didn't dwell on it. Inside, the apartment smelled of mildew and something sour. Old furniture filled the space. Peeling wallpaper clung to the walls. Heavy curtains blocked out most of the daylight. It looked like no one had cleaned the place in years. Before coming, he had requested the original floor plan of the building, an architect's habit. He always analyzed structure and layout. According to the plan, apartment 4B had 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 1 bathroom. He began exploring. The living room contained an old brown sofa, a tube television, and stacks of yellowed newspapers. The kitchen was small and filthy, the sink filled with dishes. The bathroom had cracked tiles and a stained bathtub. The first bedroom held a single bed and an empty wardrobe, likely a guest room. The second bedroom was clearly his uncle's, an unmade king-size bed, clothes scattered across the floor, an old dresser. He stopped. 3 bedrooms. He had only seen 2. He returned to the hallway, replaying the layout in his mind. Living room to the right, kitchen to the left, straight hallway, bathroom, 2 bedrooms. But the floor plan clearly showed a 3rd bedroom. At the end of the hallway, between the bathroom and the 2nd bedroom, there was only a wall painted the same worn beige as the rest of the apartment, but the proportions were wrong. He measured the distance by pacing. 4 meters. According to the plan, it should have been 6. 2 meters were missing. He placed his hand against the wall and tapped lightly. Hollow. Something was behind it. He retrieved a flashlight and shone it along the wall at an angle. A nearly invisible line appeared, the outline of a door, painted perfectly to blend into the wall. A chill ran through him. He traced the outline with his fingers and found the edge. He pushed. Nothing. Locked. There was no knob, only the faint outline of where one should be. He adjusted the light to where the lock would be. There were 7 keyholes, aligned vertically. 7 locks. He returned to his uncle's bedroom and searched frantically, drawers, coat pockets, under the mattress. On the bedside table, he found a key ring with 12 keys. 7 of them were different, each labeled with adhesive tape, 1 through 7. Back at the hidden door, he began unlocking them. First lock, 2nd, 3rd. By the 6th, his hands were shaking. He hesitated before the 7th. Why would anyone lock a door like this? What could be inside? He took a deep breath and turned the final key. Click. The door opened. Complete darkness spilled out, along with a strong smell, damp, chemical, oppressive. He turned on his phone's flashlight. It was a small, windowless room. Every wall was completely covered with photographs. Hundreds of them. All of him. His stomach churned. Photos of him leaving work, entering his apartment in Boston, at the supermarket, at the gym, Sitting at the cafe he visited every morning. Dates were written in the corners: November, December, January, February. The last 6 months. His uncle had died in February. These photos were taken while he was alive. His uncle had been following him. He stepped further inside. In the corner sat a small table with an old laptop and several stacked notebooks. He opened one. Page after page detailed his daily routine. Leave home at 7:15. Coffee at Java House at 7:30. Office at 8 o'clock. Lunch at noon. Gym at 6 o'clock. Everything. Another notebook contained a more recent entry dated February 10th. For days before Richard's death. He doesn't know yet. I need to tell him. But how? He won't understand. He won't believe me. I need to protect him. Protect him from what? He opened the laptop. It still worked. No password. The desktop was filled with folders labeled by date. The most recent folder contained videos. The first video showed a stationary shot of his apartment building in Boston. For 2 minutes, nothing happened. Then he appeared, leaving for work. 5 seconds later, another man entered the frame. He got out of a parked car and followed him. His blood froze. Every video showed the same pattern. He was being followed, not by his uncle, by someone else. His uncle had noticed and had been documenting it. Another folder was labeled evidence. Inside were close-up photos of the man following him, his face, his car, his license plate. A text document listed details. Name, Marcus Webb. Convicted of stalking in 2012. Released in 2020. Obsession with architects. Reason unknown. His uncle had discovered the truth, traveled to Boston, and watched him from the shadows to protect him. And he had died before he could warn him. A noise came from the living room. Then footsteps. Someone was inside the apartment. He turned off his phone's light and remained hidden in the dark room. The footsteps approached and stopped directly in front of the hidden door. A calm male voice spoke. I know you're in there. His heart pounded. Richard showed me these photos before he died. The voice continued. He told me about you, about this room. Silence. I came to get what's mine. He understood instantly. Marcus Webb. He silently dialed 911 and left the line open. I'm coming in now. The voice said, don't do anything stupid. The door began to open. He grabbed an iron bar leaning against the wall and held it tightly. Marcus stepped inside, tall, thin, wearing a dark jacket. He smiled. Finally, Marcus said, face to face. The police are coming, he shouted. Marcus glanced at the phone on the floor. The open line. His expression changed. He turned and ran. Minutes later, sirens filled the street. The police arrived but did not find Marcus Webb that night. They did find the room, the photos, the files. At the station, detectives listened carefully. They already knew Marcus Webb and had an active warrant for him. They caught him 3 days later trying to leave the state. But the most disturbing discovery came afterward. Police recovered a deleted video from his uncle's laptop, dated February 8th. In it, Richard sat in the hidden room, speaking directly to the camera. If you're seeing this, he said, I couldn't warn you in time. Marcus Webb came here today. He said he'd kill me if I didn't stop. I'm not stopping. You're my nephew, my only family. I'm going to protect you. The video ended. The autopsy was reopened. The cause of death was revised. It wasn't a heart attack. It was murder. Today, he lives in another city under a different name. Every night, before he sleeps, he checks the shadows, and he locks 7 locks on his door.
Hey, the stories aren't over yet, but consider subscribing and leaving a like. With a simple tap on the screen, you help our work a lot. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the next story.